Radio on Berlin.
So welcome to Radio On, and it is my pleasure to introduce Caroline Shephard to the programme, to Radio On Berlin. And it is the festive season, and what better than to talk about some ghost stories. Carrie, the name of this programme is the Haunted Salon and other true ghost stories. So in reverse order, can you briefly talk about your experience in the, how would you call it? It's a salon, but it's a
salon in reverse order.
Yeah.
It's an interesting request. I can do it in some order. Yeah. So this is the most recent experience. I've been to a salon to have my eyelashes permed, because that's a thing.
Yeah.
And they just recently moved premises. So I'm taken up there and they lay me down and seal shut my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They're
So you can't see anything.
It's terrifying. But yes, that's what they do. They seal shut your eyes.
That's not the terrifying bit though, huh?
It's a little bit. And so I'm lying there and I heard one of the girls go, "Oh my God, it's happening again." Which is just perfect when you've got your eyes shut.
Sure.
And I was like, what? She goes, "Oh, we've got a ghost, we think. And at the moment it's moving the lights." And I was like, "Oh my God, my eyes are sealed shut." What do you mean it's moving the lights? We've got this series of lights, pendant lights, through the middle of the salon, and the one on the end is just kind of spinning around.
Uh-huh.
And it's going at different speeds. It's going faster, it's going slower. It's really weird.
You should see it.
You should see it. I was like, I want to see it. I don't know. Do I need curly lashes? I haven't decided. So I said, "Well, have you tried talking to it?" And they were like,
Talking to the lights.
We haven't thought of talking to the ghost.
Yeah.
And they go, "Alexa, could you?" And it's not an Alexa. She's like, "Yes, damn. If there's a spirit present here, could you do something else? Stop the light and do something else." And then they're all like gasping because the light stopped and the one next to it started spinning. I was like, "This is amazing."
But you've still got your eyes shut.
I've still got my eyes shut.
And they're describing the scene.
They're describing it.
So it's like a radio programme.
It is like a radio programme. And some of the girls are like, I knew someone. I knew it was the ghost that took the Ferrero Rochers. We had them all out for the customers and someone ate them all. And I was like, I'm not really convinced by that story. But yeah, after an hour, and the thing is still going, they unsealed me.
After an hour? It takes that long?
It takes an hour.
Wow.
I know. I don't even know what they do because I can't see.
Yeah, sure.
I'm fairly sure that I didn't have spiral curls after. It was all a waste of time, frankly, apart from the ghost. So afterwards, they take me over to take my cash. And then I can see this row of pendant lights above the counter. And the one on the end is just going in circles.
Doing its own
different
thing.
speeds. Yes, and there's no... Because I was like, maybe it's a train, because that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Sure.
But no, there was no train nearby. It was just...
This is in Plymouth, isn't it?
This is in Plymouth.
Whereabouts in Plymouth? Just
in Plimpton on the Ridgeway.
Okay, so you can look up that
It's
place.
a place called Bella Therapy if you want your eyelashes in different shapes
Sure.
than your eyelashes come. But yeah, that's what happened in the Haunted Salon. And then they took way too much money from me.
Extra for the supernatural.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is as well, they said, "Do you want your eyelashes tinted?" Which is kind of standard with this. And I was like, "How much longer will that take?" Like, I don't know, another 15 minutes. I was like, "No, I really need to see the ghost." So that probably didn't help with the overall effect at the end. But on entertainment terms, I would give it a TripAdvisor review as quite satisfactory.
Finally, just to close this particular story, I remember you saying something about like they were afraid to see who was going to be closing up.
Yeah, because they were having a little argument while my eyes were shut. Who's going to close up tonight? Nobody wanted to be the one. But
Because
Yeah.
of
Because of the ghost.
Yeah.
They were all petrified. You know, they're all about 18. Nobody wants to share the salon with a ghost. Whereas at my age, it's just, you know, much more.
And I guess the thing is,
usual.
when people come in, they have to close their eyes. So
Yeah.
so a ghost happening that's coming in as well.
And there's a little bit of you that's like, is it behind me? It's Christmas as well. He's behind you. It's bound to happen, isn't it?
It's very pantomime, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit. But, you know, I was glad I made the suggestion to talk to it, and I'm glad they finally realised it wasn't an Alexa.
But this is the first course. If it was a restaurant, this ghost story is the first course, so it's like an aperitif.
Yes.
Because how do we describe the next story, which is
Significant.
pretty significant. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're a bit cynical or doubting what things, the next story is conclusive.
I think
really.
it helps to put yourself in the shoes of the person who was living there.
Yeah. How can you describe this
I can
person?
describe, this is Tony, my partner.
Mr. T.
And if you picture like a cartoon bloke of a bloke, doesn't really think about things too hard. He doesn't really believe in this or that. He's just very straightforward, you know, give me a decent cup of builder's tea and let's just get on with it.
Yeah, he's very down to earth.
He's very down to earth.
He's grounded.
I could have just gone with that.
Yeah.
Cartoon bloke.
Tony, you're going to be listening to this one day, and only the best
I love you dearly.
about you. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, he was living in a former. Well, it was a kind of thatched cottage, wasn't it?
It's like a, what do you call those things in Lord of the Rings? Hobbit cottage. It's like a hobbit cottage right in the middle of a busy road. This tiny cottage that is part of an old estate in the area.
The remains, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. It, you know, would have been a gardener's cottage. There's a bedroom, a kitchen, living room, and then downstairs is a bathroom, and that would have been a kitchen back in the, I don't know, 1500s or whatever. So it's incredibly old, incredibly small. And yeah, thatched cottage, big open fireplace, not much room to move around in. And he moved into that, part of the National Trust, actually. So we had to do an application.
Yeah. We could sponsor this show for
the National Trust sponsor this show. You'll get a free acorn. So he moved into there, all very well. And then one day he rings me up in the morning and goes, very strange thing. He said, there's a ghost.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, really?
Oh, he said there's a ghost. Okay.
Do you believe in ghosts? Well, there just is. There just is. Because I've come out of my room this morning and all the fruit is stacked up in a pile.
Just moving your hair, your beautifully coloured hair,
Thank you.
away from the microphone. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all just piled on top of each other.
Really?
All the apples.
Because he's really into fruit, Tony, isn't he?
He has this huge fruit bowl, and you know, there's pears, there's kiwi fruits, there's apples, there's bananas. He eats them all every day, like some kind of giraffe.
Okay.
So, you know, feeding time at the zoo. Oh God,
What's
sorry,
that?
I just.
We just switched on the. Wasn't something
did
that
I?
just. Or did you? Yes.
Or did I?
The paper shredder in the corner.
The ghost foot. Yeah, it was all piled up in one huge stack.
Wow.
And I was like, well, you know, that's unusual. Maybe you've been sleepwalking or something.
Sleep stacking.
Well, maybe I have. Okay. So, like, a couple of nights later, I hear him and goes, no, there's definitely a ghost. What's happened now? He said, well, I was in my bed and I was just about to fall asleep, and then something picked it up and started rocking it from side to side.
Look, I've been to this place. I've been to it once, and this was a huge wooden bed.
Yes.
Almost, it could have been oak or something like that, made out of a really heavy wooden material.
Double bed,
someone
or king size even.
picked up the bed,
rocking it from side to side, like he was a giant ginger baby.
Oh God.
I don't think the ginger matters. So he's rocking it from side to side, and I was like, well, are you okay? And he was like, well, yes, obviously. It was just, you know, unusual. And then that wasn't all that evening. He said then there was all this banging on the windows, like someone just bang, 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 all over the windows. He said it was really quite annoying because, you know, I've got to get up early for work. She just won't leave me alone. I was like, wow, okay, so it's haunted. It's haunted. That's fine. What else? And then someone put a photograph through the door, and it showed the cottage back in very old times with some spooky looking woman in front of it. No explanation. We don't know where this came from. We called the National Trust office that rented the flat. They didn't know anything about it. I was like, well, maybe someone's playing tricks. Then all this other stuff started happening. I stayed over one night, and well, one thing that happens when you go in there, and he couldn't tell because he's got a level of deafness, so he can't hear certain sounds. I could hear, Melita could hear, and you could hear when you visited. There's Tinkerbell. There's little bells that come from the corners, like a little ringing bell.
Before I went there to do some recording and stuff, because I'd heard about it, because there's many stories, I should say, for you listeners out there of this place. So you heard these kind of bells before? It's like a servant bell or something.
Like a little servant bell, exactly that. And it would tinkle. It was very strange. And then I was staying overnight, and there's this light pendant.
Another
over
pendant
the bed.
light.
Another pendant. Maybe it's me. And it just started, like, it was just spinning and spinning. You know, the light pull.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, look at that. And I was like, what? And it was like a helicopter just...
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't explain that. But I'm not staying here again.
Yeah, sure.
There were so many things. He would come out, and there was a picture he took once with I wish I still had it. There's a big mantelpiece over the fireplace, and the remote control for the television was balanced just by about an inch of the remote control on the edge of the mantelpiece, and the rest of it hanging over the edge. There's no way that could balance, but she would do stuff like this. And they had the milk top being underneath the milk and stuff. Just very odd things. And then I said to him one day, how do you know it's a she? And he said, I just know. Because
couldn't be my question,
yeah, he could feel her watching him in the shower, but I think that was mainly because that used to be her kitchen, and of course she was going, what are you doing in my sink? Nobody wants that.
Because he was in the shower, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in the shower, and he would see shadows, I think, or things would rattle on the curtains.
Didn't the shower curtain move past once or something?
Yeah, something like that. I must ask him about it again, see what it was. But I think the things used to tap on the shower curtain. And I said, well, what do you think she's called? And he went, Gemma, immediately.
Wow.
And I was like, G or J? And he was like, J. And he, like I said, he doesn't think about things. They just fall out of his mouth. I mean, you would know if you'd ever had dinner with him.
How long ago was this? Because he lived there for how long?
He only lived there for about 18 months.
Okay.
And this was, how many years ago?
Quite a few. It was before COVID, wasn't it?
It was about 5 years ago. It was about 5 years ago.
So I remember going there once, like, and it was summer, and Melita, your daughter, my niece, would be there, was there, and we went there, and Tony was out, and I think we had a cup of tea or something, and I because I was an avid ghost recorder, I went down to the bathroom downstairs and with a recorder, and I was recording and stuff and things, and then I heard this bell, but I didn't know, I just assumed it was that you were calling me up into the kitchen for tea or something. And then I went into the kitchen, which was very small, I mean, the top floor, again, is just the kitchen and the bedroom. There's nothing else. It's a very small place. So, and then the bell happened again, and it was definitely from the kitchen, and it was a high pitch, like a servant's bell. And that connects with the story that the place, as far as I remember you saying, was it used to be a place where the men from the estate would go and stay overnight because they were going hunting or something. So it could have been a hunting part of the lodge, in which case they might have had a servant or something like that.
It could have been servants living there at different times.
Yes.
We would have had many uses over time.
Yeah, but heard this bell second time, and then I think it was really odd because we all heard it was really clear, and I had it recorded from downstairs before, so it was twice, and then I think a third time, and then Melita ran out screaming, burst into tears.
What she was screaming? She started screaming that there was a baby in the walls.
Really? I didn't hear that.
And she would have been about 5 then.
Wow, yeah.
We don't know where that came from, because it fell out of her head.
Wow.
There was a baby in the walls.
Oh, wow.
I think quite quickly after that I agreed he could move in with me. But I think... And there was the rocking chair. He had a rocking chair.
Oh, lovely.
And for no reason
Perfect
at
for a
all,
haunted
he
house.
bought the most spooky looking rocking chair in the world and put it in that cottage.
Amazing.
And I was like, why would anyone do that? Because I'm kind of comfortable. And I think that used to rock
Amazing.
from time to time. I was like, I'm not going in there with the rocking chair. And I always got the feeling that Gemma didn't like me. I think she really liked Tony, which is why she wanted to rock him to sleep.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe she thought he was her child. But she wasn't that keen on me being in there. I always got a sense of, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah. The other thing was there was something else that appeared, I remember, was a plate, and it looked like it had been dug up.
Yes.
There's a load of dirty stuff on it. It looked like it had been dug on from outside.
Yeah.
It just appeared.
Just
Tony
appeared.
came back from work and there was this plate.
I'd forgotten about that.
That
was really weird.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you could put it down to, someone having a key and doing it, but there's a lot that you can't.
Yeah, the key, I should say, was one of these church keys, really big sort of thing. It wasn't an ordinary key for not easy to copy.
No, definitely not easy to copy. And the office didn't have another one. And when we put all this to them, they're like, well, nobody tends to mention it. So, yeah, but do they just move out quite quickly?
Yeah, sure.
It's really intense.
Amazing. So
It would like be on a daily basis. Stuff happened all the time in there, and there was no question it couldn't be anything else because of the just strangeness.
Yeah.
I mean, just the balancing of things that can't be balanced. And you can't, you try and balance a load of apples and pears, and good luck with that. Especially the pears.
Yeah, sure.
Not really built for stacking.
There was one other thing before we close is, I remember that you said about the TV, this kind of typical thing that the TV would switch itself on and off and stuff like that.
Yes, it would. It would go on and off all the time.
That's perfect poltergeist activity, isn't it?
That was weird. Distinctly weird.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you very much, Carrie, for joining us. My sister, thank you very much, my sister. There's lots of haunted stuff in your life as well, isn't there? Because you saw ghosts in places where you were working and things like that.
I have seen some strange things.
And socks have appeared from drawers, but these are stories for another time.
And one day I'll tell you about Melita's child story when she was a child.
Right.
I mean, that's for another time because that's terrifying. And I'd say that's a late night episode.
We want more. Thank you very much, Carrie. That's wonderful. Festive Ghost Stories Part 1. Keep safe, everyone out there. Thank you for listening. Radio on Berlin and www.radioonberlin.com. So you can just look us up and this will be going out on all your podcast platforms. Thank you and have a pleasant festive time.
You have been listening to Radio on Berlin. Yeah!
Your friend?
So she lived in a little cottage where Tony used to live on her own at the time. Just this little tiny cottage, very, very old cottage with a thatched roof. She woke up one day and she saw blood just trickling down the walls all around her, and she was terrified.
And that was in the same cottage?
The same cottage that Tony had his sort of paranormal
And she lived there before he lived there?
Yes.
What made her tell you that story?
Well, Susan told me the story. I guess we must have been discussing Tony's experiences with the place, and she came up with that as well as
That's amazing. Thanks, Selena. That's amazing.